Greetings everybody, Tekking101 here. Today we will be reviewing Bleach chapter number 534, in which we discuss the deep philosophical ramifications of Misaki saving Isshin in the previous chapters, as well as the damage that it might have caused her upon fighting Shiro. And I shall do this all in this very monotone voice, because I've noticed that with my previous reviews, I tend to get a little bit over-exaggerated and excited, and this tends for me to forget major plot points. So I decided that if I maintain a calm and British gentleman such attitude, then I will be able to read the chapter much more better. Indubitably. What the fuck am I doing? Okay, I don't know. I thought that would be funny. I have no idea. If you didn't find that funny, I updated the intro. I updated the intro to the new, with the new chapter title, so maybe that makes up for it. So go to that, and then the rest of the review will be me being all zany and crazy and kooky like I always am. Everybody, Tekking101 here to review Bleach chapter number 534, entitled Everything But the Rain OP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, called Hole of Reproach. What is the Hole of Reproach? You can make a lot of jokes about it. Let's just leave it at that. So, chapter starts off with the awesome, pretty cool color page that Kubo designed. Got to give him to him for that. The picture is of Misaki holding Ryukin and Isshin next to her. It gets a little bit awkward when you consider that one of them is supposed to be involved in an arranged marriage, while the other one's going to be someone she's going to actually marry. So, maybe a little bit awkward like that. Maybe not something I would want to post on Facebook, but then again, Misaki is in high school, so pretty much any picture she takes anywhere ends up on Facebook. One thing that I particularly found a little bit confusing, might have just been a translation thing, but the caption for the color page reads that the secret of his birth is finally being disclosed. Color cover for the climax of the past arc. Climax of the past? We barely got the freaking thing started. I mean, yeah, it's the 7th installment, but, you know, we saw the fight between Isshin and Shiro. I mean, that left more questions than it did answers. I mean, okay, maybe like 1 or 2 answers, but way more questions. So, I read that and I'm just like, climax? Is this it? Are we going back to the present next chapter? Because if that's the case, then Kubo, I'm going to have to go to Japan and give you some pointers, dude, because, I mean, I'm going to have to waste all my money on this. You do not do this, man, okay? You don't. So chapter starts off in the Soul Society with Rangiku, well, being Rangiku. She's about to shovel some paperwork on the captain to do so she can head out to a dango shop. Dango? Dongo? I don't know. You know, I've been an anime fan for about 5 or 6 years, and, you know, in the anime, I've always seen, like, these foreign foods from Japan, and I've always wanted to try them, because they always look so freaking good in anime. I mean, they might not be that good in real life, but, like those octopus dumplings that, in One Piece that, they were eating, during like, at the beginning of the Shiboni arc. I always thought those looked pretty good. I don't even know what those taste like. I don't even know if I've had a dumpling in my life. What the hell's a dumpling? I couldn't describe it to you if you even asked me, but, yeah, maybe I've just lived a very sheltered life, but anyway, her plans are foiled when she discovers that Isshin left a note for her stating she's going to the human world, come up with some excuse to tell the Captain Commander. And she's, of course, enraged by this, despite the fact that she was just as lazy as he was. So I can at least see, or I'm not sure if it's, you know, Isshin as her captain made her this lighthearted, although she was probably always like this. Although, no, maybe not, because as a child, very briefly, when we saw Rangiku as a child, she was fairly serious. But maybe Isshin being her captain made her, you know, turn that attitude, and she just stuck with it, and that annoys Toshiro greatly. Anyway, so then we get the title page, then we cut over back to the mansion, where Masaki returns home from school. I'm not sure if this takes place, like, immediately after the last chapter, where, you know, Masaki and her friends are walking home, bumps into Ohara, and then just, like, continues the walk home, and this is it. I don't know if this is a continuation or if this is a couple days later. Given the look that Ohara gave her last chapter and how he was kind of nervous and discovering what's going to happen in a couple of pages, I'm just assuming it's the same day. But that's really neither here nor there anyway. So she walks in the door and sees what everybody would want to see after a long day of school. Bitch Mom staring at her very sternly. And Misaki got pretty much busted because bitch mom knows all about what happened with the Ishin and Hollow fight the other day. Misaki tries to brush it off, to which Ryukin is surprised that she even knows about that. She realizes that the only other conceivable person that could possibly have told her was Katagiri. Now, at first when I saw that, I'm like, no, it couldn't have been Katagiri, because Katagiri's, we don't know much about her character that much, other than that she's, I'm at least to say that she's very interested in Ryukin a little bit, because it's been heavily hinted that she's Ryu's mother, and every time Ryukin brings up Misaki, she gets really sad and cries. I don't know if she cries, but she looks like she's gonna cry. So, actually, that's her face all the time. She just looks repressed and tired, and, I would feel that way too if bitch mom was my boss, but, just her character design hasn't been flushed out very much, but from what we've seen, she seems very loyal, very kind, deep down. So at first when I heard that, I'm like, no, she couldn't have done that. Well, Ryukin does confront her, and we do find out that she did in fact tell bitch mom about what happened. Because apparently, while she was looking over Misaki, she was injured. So last chapter that was confirmed that was injured. I guess that's just Kubo's style, because we even see a close-up of the injury, and I'm not sure if it's because of the scanlation, but the close-up of her injury, it's like black school uniform, white scarf, and there's a little trickle of blood. Now, maybe in the original Weekly Shonen Jump scan, maybe her uniform was a little bit more bright, so we could see her wound a little bit more. But you can't really blame me for not seeing her injury in the last chapter, because I believe this picture was taken from a flashback that was taken from last chapter, and you can't even tell hardly. It looks like a freaking paper cut. So, yeah, that's probably the reason I overlooked it there. But she states that the wound was a little bit more severe than originally expected, and they had to cure her using the original Quincy procedure. Sounds vaguely sexual. And the only ones that can apparently do this special procedure are the masters of the house, so either bitch mom or Soken Ishida, who is still absent. So, from what I get from that, essentially, is that the wound, they were worried about her blood being corrupted or becoming unpure. So originally I believe that being a pure Quincy just means that, like the family lineages, like for example, Katagiri's probably half Quincy, so maybe like one of her parents were Quincy, the other half were not, were human. So that's what I thought when they were talking about like making such a big deal about pure Quincy's a couple chapters ago, but from what I see now, maybe that's not entirely the case. Maybe that is an issue, your parents both being Quincy's, but at the same time, if they were that worried about, like, the wound making her unpure, maybe perhaps if you're attacked by a hollow, maybe like the Ryatsu from the hollow or something with that can get into your Ryatsu, and maybe that's what they meant by becoming unpure. Like their Ryatsu taints the Quincy Ryatsu, and that makes it unpure. So that's what I'm going with that. Then again, Shiro was a very unique hollow to begin with, so maybe they're referring to something just specific about maybe like a very high class hollow, such as Atujas or Vasto Lourdes. But regardless of that, she had to tell bitch mom for that reason. I'm using the word bitch mom a lot in this video. I feel dirty, but whatever, that's what she is, so I don't care. Anyway, Ryukin understands this, but at the same time, I guess he understands that if Katagiri told them about what happened, that would make the situation for Misaki just so much more worse. So Ryukin's curious, okay, it was a serious situation, but there's really nothing else you could have done in the situation, that's your only reason. And Katagiri responds was like, well, you told me like 2 days ago how you wanted to make sure the Quincy bloodline was kept pure, so I was just basically going off what you were saying. Ryukin pretty much realizes that he just dug his own grave in this pretty much and runs back over to vouch for Misaki. Misaki responds by saying she's okay, and then immediately collapses on the ground. Well, damn. The interesting thing I have to bring up here, though, is I'm assuming she was attacked by, like she was attacked by this hollow the night before, I'm assuming, so wouldn't it be, isn't it odd that she didn't collapse until just now? Like, she did not have any medical problems while she was at school or she was walking home. It didn't happen until she was at home, and then they brought up the attack that she passed out. Can you believe how awkward that would have been in school if she just passed out, and then everyone crowds around her, and they turn her around, and she has a freaking big gaping hole in her freaking neck? It's like, oh my god, one of Misaki is one of the evil homunculi! Shoot it in the face! That would have just been a little bit more awkward, maybe, to your friends. Just saying. But yeah, the hole approach that was stated in the chapter title is the hole that appears at the base of Masaki's neck, which resembles a hollow hole. So Ryukin, noticing the hollow hole, asks where his dad is, Soken. His mom states that she still doesn't know where he is, or he's trying to contact him, it's not working. You know, Ryukin's dad is a little bit, Soken was a little bit a deadbeat dad, don't you think? Like, he hasn't showed up for 2 days, and apparently from what Bitch Mom said in a couple of chapters ago, that he's been gone for like several days, like maybe even a week or so at this Funte field place. I mean, just it's like, well, then I don't know. I guess Soken was a better grandfather to Uryu than father to Ryukin, I suppose. You can't win them all, right? So I guess Ryukin runs off with Misaki trying to locate his father. Now, here's the thing. This was a redeeming moment for Bitch Mom, in my opinion. For a moment, I thought it was going to be redeeming, because I'm thinking, okay, that's a little bit unfair, because we don't know much about the character, but from what we've seen with Ryukin's mother so far, you know, she's very stuck up, she's very arrogant, and, you know, I know that's not her old character. I know that's just coming from the fact that we were just introduced from her. We don't know much about her character. So, she's running off. Ryukin's running off with Misaki, and her reaction to this is, no, Ryukin, don't run off with that thing. And then she screams and looks kind of sympathetic halfway. Now, I know that they had to leave the thing part in there because that's alluding to, you know, maybe she knows something about Misaki that happened that Ryukin doesn't, or I hope that's it. I really does, because otherwise that would make that character completely unredeemable. If it's just like, she's like, oh no, she got attacked by a hollows and now in serious medical need. And then she starts calling it as an it instead of a she. So yeah, that's a little messed up. So, you know, whatever. Ryukin runs off, I guess, trying to find his dad. Is attacked by the hamster hollow. Oh, yes, the hamster hollow. The most dangerous class of all hollows. It goes normal, and then Gillian, then Anhujas, Vasto Lorde, Arrancar, hamster hollow. Dun dun dun! Anyway, he's about to be attacked by that, and I guess with his hands full he can't fight back, but at the last minute, in traditional Bleach fashion, gets sliced right down the middle. Isshin appears. Ryukin recognizes Isshin from that night before and gets a little pissed at him, because that's the whole reason that Misaki ended up like this, because he's protecting him. Isshin states that he can look at her and maybe figure out what to do and help her, and they both kind of argue at the moment, but then are stopped by the arrival of Uehara, who states that if you want to save that girl, I know a couple of ways, but you're going to have to come with me. Okay, so that's the end of the chapter. Like I said, very brief, not a lot of action. You know, it's just mostly just a catch-up on what's going on with Misaki, her relationships with the family, and then the damage that she has sustained from Shiro in the last chapter. That's basically the main point. And I didn't mention this a lot last chapter, but a lot of people did mention that basically Shiro's whole point was not to exactly exist just exist. What its point was to infect other Soul Reapers to becoming holified. Basically, the funniest thing I read about it was someone referred to Shiro as a walking STD, pretty much. So I guess it's a little ew, but at the same time, that's a pretty apt description of what Shiro was. And the reason Aizen was so surprised last chapter was because instead of picking a Shinigami like they designed it to, it picked a Quincy. So I think mostly the reason I skipped over that too was I didn't even know if she was injured last chapter. Like I said, it was very, very hard to discern that. But, so, it's pretty much clear that Misaki was infected and became the vessel for, I don't know if she's going to be becoming a hollow, like, altogether in a whole new species, but this is pretty much the adamant discovery of behind Ichigo's hollow powers. Like, right here, this is what we needed. This is all we needed. I think that's what the color page even said. It's like the secret behind Ichigo's birth, or maybe Ichigo's powers is a more apt description. And I said this back at the beginning of the flashback arc, that my thoughts on Isshin and Misaki and how they tie into Ichigo's hollow powers, or how Shiro ties into Ichigo's hollow powers, was that Shiro attacked one of Ichigo's parents, left a trace of his Ryatsu into one of the parents, in this case Misaki, and then when Ichigo was born and then Ichigo started to develop hollow powers, his body already had the latent hollow powers in it left over from Shiro. So when Ichigo's hollow powers were developing, they were using Shiro as kind of like the baseline or the groundwork of what Ichigo's mask should resemble and look like. So that's the correlation between, you know, Shiro's mask and Ichigo's mask looking so similar right there. And you know, so I mean, it's a case in flashback arcs that the problem exists here is that we know what's going to happen to the characters for the most part. We know Misaki is going to live in order to have Ichigo. So we know just for a fact that she's not going to die. But the potentials here are, number one, she can lose her Quincy powers, because as most of us are aware, she did not have her Quincy powers. Well, it's extremely unlikely she had her Quincy powers at the time of when Ichigo and Karin and Yuzu were children, because, she didn't use them. She didn't use them to fight Grand Fisher at all. They're not logged in Ichigo's memory at all, although, seeing your mom get killed by a giant fur ball, that might be kind of a little bit traumatizing. And even if she did use Quincy powers, Ichigo probably repressed the whole freaking thing. So yeah, I can imagine. But let's just say that this results in Misaki somehow losing her Quincy powers. That would fit into that. This also kind of sets up the whole Ryuk and Isshin relationship. Probably what they're going to do is like having a kind of a friendship, because Urahara is going to take them all away. Back to his shop, probably. That's how Urahara, Isshin, and Ryukin are all going to get acquainted. And they're probably going to have to both do something to help out Misaki. And that's how this kind of friendship is going to develop between Isshin and Ryukin right there. Like I'm not a fan of you, you're not a fan of me, but let's just try to help out this girl that we both care for. So that's probably where that's going to come from. Also, something is Isshin even aware of Urahara's existence? Because we didn't really see much of Isshin's reaction to seeing Urahara, and Urahara was kind of far away, and he's kind of like has the hat, so maybe didn't recognize him at first. So maybe when they go back to the shop and he says, maybe if he states like, my name is Kisuke Urahara, Isshin will be like, oh, you're that traitor that like freaking experimented with hollows. What the hell are you doing here? And he's just like, no, that wasn't me. That was something else altogether. And maybe because of the pressing situation, Isshin would just be like believing him and just be like, okay, whatever, we have to fix Misaki. That's another thing too. Urahara stated possible ways to fix Misaki, to heal Misaki, so plural, so more than just one. So I'm going to imply here that maybe the Hokyoku would have to do with one method, and maybe the second method would have to do with maybe losing her Quincy powers in the process. Wow, for being a relatively short chapter, I got a lot of analysis out of that, didn't I? So, yeah, I was kind of wrong last chapter when I mentioned the whole, like, how Isshin's going to learn about Urahara, like, maybe he's going to do a little bit of research and find out about him. That was scrapped out the freaking window, right? That'd been cool, but, what can you do, right? So, that's the end of the chapter. Those are my thoughts. Like I said, kind of short this time, but maybe next chapter we're going to get a little bit more into depth for that. Probably what's going to happen, though, is just Isshin and Ryukin learning who Urahara is for half of the chapter, and the other half is going to be Urahara explaining the possible methods, like what exactly happened to Misaki, maybe noting Aizen as the possible cause, and then maybe the end of the chapter, the end of next chapter might be like some big cliffhanger, like here's how you have to, like here's the only way she's going to be cured, and then like lay the bomb on him, like one of you guys has to die or some shit, I don't know. But okay, so that's the end of the chapter, guys. Tekking101 signing out. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys.